I should have been in my faith journey. And Lakin was on fire for Jesus, like on fire. And so when all this happened, I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand, God, because she's the most perfect person. She has the greatest faith, and why wasn't it me? Why wasn't it anyone else? But it was in those times where I was running from God. I was so mad that He came so intently to my heart, and it has completely changed my life. He has shown up in ways that I cannot even explain to you guys, and I've gotten a lot you're so strong. I don't know how you hold it together. It's not me. God has completely taken over my heart, and as awful as it's been, I will not sit here and say, oh, I'm so fine, I'm so peaceful. But I would not be here today if it wasn't for God and the way that He's shown up in my life. And I give all credit to Lakin because that was my inspiration, and that's who I look up to. So, yes, God is good, y'all. God is good.
Grief is very difficult to navigate, and it's amazing because most of the time you see it kind of pull people away, and this has brought you closer to Him, and I know you kind of touched on that, but if you wanted to speak more about your faith and how God has moved in your life, any instances or anything specific,
I think the first couple months I was in shambles. I don't think, I know. And it was bad. I'm not even going to sit here and lie to you guys. But it's just in those little moments where I'm thinking I can't do it anymore. I'm sitting there, I'm crying out to God, that a wave of peace just comes over, and I can't explain it. It's so crazy the way that He's just come in and changed my life. And it's made me, my heart desires to get into His Word, to have a relationship with Him. And it's not me. He has worked in me, and I have had to put in the work. But it's been so good. It's been so life-changing, for sure.
All right, last question is, how can we live like Lakin?
I'm sure a lot of y'all, maybe some of y'all met her, if you were lucky. But she was the light of the room. Her smile and her laugh, her laugh, everyone just knows that laugh. She was so perfect, and her faith, that's literally all I go to is her faith. And God shined so brightly through her, and she never met a stranger. People will tell you, when nobody was there, Lakin was. And I know she pushed so many people to Jesus, and I think if we just gotta be kind to each other, and so keep the faith. Keep the faith, y'all, because God is good. I'll say it again. He's so good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. Can we just... You have to be pretty strong to be up here and speak like she's able to speak. This is the power of God, what you're looking at right here. I've gotten to know Lauren. I cannot even imagine. I'm so proud of you. I'm so very proud of you and your parents. And I know that this is going to do something and change someone's life, to know that their eternity is going to be spent in heaven when they meet Jesus. Because once you die, that's sealing your deal. So thank you guys. Thank you for keeping the faith and inspiring all of us to stay strong.
Thank you guys so much for coming. I really do appreciate it.
All right, next we're going to have Nick and Mike Collins come up, and they're going to speak more about the educational side and how we can be more active in doing something about this and making sure that this never happens to someone else. Wow.
So again, you guys were just listening in to Lauren Riley, the younger sister of Laken Riley, the young woman who we know was killed on the campus of UGA. She was just jogging. She was an Augusta University nursing student. So they are now calling up Representative Mike Collins, who is the author of the Laken Riley Act, and that is supposed to make sure, again, as they just said there, that this never happens to another person. Long story short, an illegal immigrant was convicted in the killing of Laken Riley. We were just listening in as Representative Mike Collins approached the mic. He's undergoing a Q&A right now at a memorial held for Laken Riley. She is that Augusta University nursing student who was killed on the campus of UGA. You remember she was jogging, and they say that her convicted killer is an illegal immigrant who has been charged. So I do want to let you listen in to our Representative Mike Collins as he talks a little bit more about what the Laken Riley Act is and how he came to learn and know more about the Laken Riley family.
6 grandkids, and we got another grandson hitting the ground here, I guess, next month. And we'll give him 9 months. We'll put him in dispatch and get him to work. But I like to preface all that and say that I think that 30 years of experience in small business in a very regulated environment, very taxed environment, gave me the knowledge to go to Congress, go to Washington, and be effective. Because I would say that in the short time that I've been up there, and I don't mean this braggadociously, but y'all, I think I could say I probably had one of the most successful careers in Congress in just the short time frame that I've been there. To have 2 pieces of legislation signed into law, to get as much stuff as we have done for individual communities around the state, and it's just been a privilege and an honor to serve. To me, it's probably the best time in the history of this country to be a member of Congress, for the fact that we have the ability to move legislation.
Yeah. Absolutely, and one of those acts is why you're here today, and why we want you to be present at this event and speak on this. You were passed the Laken Riley Act, and I'm sure all of us have heard of the Laken Riley Act, but I don't think a lot of us understand what it is and why it was so important that it was passed.
Yeah, well, it was important for several different reasons, and I don't know if y'all recall when President Trump was signing that piece of legislation. He looked over and he said, "Mike, I can tell it got personal with you." And it did. You know, not just the fact that Allison, you and John, y'all are salt of the earth people. And you could tell that they had a very strong family and they loved their girls, and and you could feel that. You knew there was an emotional side there, and it still is. But it was just the fact that I was able to take, and I tell people all the time, I look at everything from a business sense of it. What's the problem? What's the solution? How we fix it so that it never happens again? And we knew what the problem was, and the solution was to lock that fella up and give him the death penalty and take care of that. But to fix it, what actually happened? And it was common sense. It was just a problem in the law that stated that local law enforcement were not able to contact ICE or demanded to contact ICE to get rid of people that were here illegally, committing crimes, and they could be petty crimes. But the problem that we had in this country was these illegal criminals were getting more and more emboldened. I mean, this guy was picked up for endangering a child. So we stepped it up a notch. He was picked up for shoplifting, but never anything happened. And so, simple bill. Just requires to call ICE, tell them what you got, pick them up, process them, and deport them. And people ask me, well, how's the bill doing, Mike? Well, in 1 year, because that piece of legislation was signed into law on January 29th, 2025, the first piece of legislation that, and remind me about that President Trump signed when he got back into office. 17,500 people, illegal criminal thugs, have been picked up off the streets and taken out of the communities because of the Laken Riley Act. I don't know how, if you want to know how God works in just mysterious ways, I have been put into so many positions over my life, and I can't even explain it. I don't know how I get to be in positions. And some of them aren't good, but they have good outcomes, and I think this is one of them. But people say, Mike, how did you do that? How did we get Laken Riley through like we did? And I was talking to a gentleman back there about another bill. I'm going to tell y'all something. There ain't nothing that happens in Washington, D.C. until the American people demand it. And they demanded that piece of legislation go through. And we got it through the House in bipartisanship way. And I knew I could use that leverage over in the Senate, which is what we did. But the other part of it is, there's so much legislation that goes through Congress. And I'm sorry if I'm taking up too much.
No, keep going. We have plenty of time here.
But y'all, I didn't really have any opposition this last time around. It's the first, it's my first re-elect, but I even did it when I got elected the first time. I was out there and campaigning for people all over the country that I wanted to be a member of Congress. I mean, if you were a Christian, if you were a small business person, if you were MAGA, if you were America First, I would go and knock doors for several days with you. And so leadership heard about that, and Steve Scalise, majority leader, said, come on, Mike, I want you to go with me. Well, it was a whole lot better ride than being in Delta, and I love Delta, but it was a nicer plane. So we're flying and talking, and it just dawned on me, hey, let's bring this up. And I said, majority leader, listen, Laken Riley Act. We couldn't get it out of the Senate in the 118th because our U.S. senators here in Georgia wouldn't help me one bit. They didn't lift one finger. And they could have passed it easily because they had the Senate and the White House. It would have got signed. So that tells you where they really stood on it. But I said, majority leader, listen, this is a great piece of legislation. It's common sense. It'll help. And I said, I know you're going to put Tom Homan's going to be back there giving this ammo so that we can get rid of these people. Well, we talked on about other things. Lo and behold, he called me and he said, Mike, we're going to bring it up first. It'll be the first thing we bring up. And when you think about it, it was so important because President Trump was talking about border and border security, and what better piece of legislation to bring up than this piece of legislation, make it number one, set the tone for the rest of Congress. That happened to have been the most consequential immigration legislation in 30 years. 30 years. So it was amazing. It was an honor to carry it. And, it's something that will continue to help save lives forever.
Yeah. And God's always moving, I think, in people who carry... Yeah, can we give an applause for that? Yeah, absolutely. So you've talked a little bit about how God has kind of moved through this and moved through the Laken Riley Act and really performed miracles throughout the course of legislating this. Could you, for my final question here, could you please speak to your experience with your faith in God and how that ties into your leadership as a politician?
Yeah, no, I say that everybody grew up in Butts County, even my grandparents, two that don't know and have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, they can do that through, just like our sister said, that she really embraced her religion and her faith, and that's something I didn't know at first, but I learned that, and so it's got a dual purpose, a dual role right there, and it's just. It's amazing how God works in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you talked about how you don't understand how people could live and lead without God behind them. And